Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Diploma. My name is Emerson Sprinkle, and I'm here with my co host, Avery Park, and our editor and producer, Catherine Chapini.
Yes, so today we have a very exciting interview for you. We've been looking forward to this one for a very long time. We almost thought it wasn't going to happen, which would have been very, very sad because today we have Mr. Joe Hortiz, the GM for the NFL Chargers. So obviously very, very, very exciting. It was also exciting that we have one now. This is our first one in the entertainment area. So we are very excited. He is so sweet and he's so
Mhm.
cool. It was such a fun interview. I think we had the most fun during this one.
Yeah, it was a really good time. Especially, I mean, obviously, like it was really interesting to talk to him about his job, but he's just such a nice person. And he like put on the like draft screen behind him, like just to make the
Yeah.
podcast, which
When
I
we
thought
logged
was,
into the call, Emerson and I were like, whoa, wow,
yeah, it was really
he pulled out all the stops from this
cool.
one. Yeah, it
No,
was
he
super
really
cool.
did.
Yeah. I mean, you'll see his
Um,
background. He was in the draft room
Yeah, which was really
for the
cool. But
Magic.
I was really excited to talk to him. One, just because I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what a GM does. I don't even know like what a quarterback does. So I was like really excited to talk to him. And he's really, really nice. But I learned a lot about what he does, about how he kind of got there. And honestly, I feel like it's really inspiring. Like his very much was just like a story of like working hard to like getting where you are, like making connections and things like that.
No, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I thought it was really interesting how he got there because, especially because I feel like it's like we're like so sports oriented. So, like, for me at least, I see that as more like celebrity area. But like the way he got there was like so like normal and like he just it's what he wanted to do and he did it. So,
You know,
yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I wanted to ask him. I forgot to ask him about this, but I saw an episode. I told Catherine about this. I saw an episode of South Park, and on the screen there was like all of the GMs were like projected on the screen. They're like making bits about it, and I was like, oh my God, like that could be Mr. Joe
You.
Ortiz. That could be you. South Park can make a joke about you with like a fake you. Yeah, he was so fun. And we also learned after the call that he is a big Taylor Swift fan. We did not know that. We cracked a little joke about it, but then we learned that he apparently stole a record, Midnight's album on record, and
He
before
stole
he
it, but
moved, that's
yeah.
borrowed for a long period of time, a couple months before he moved to LA, and then he had to give it back because yeah, he moved and it was so sad for us, for the Ravens, 20 plus years.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I really like talking to him. I think there was definitely a lot to learn from this call. I mean, obviously, like in the sports industry, but I think a lot of it could be kind of projected onto other
Yes.
industries. Him talking about like how what he looks for when he's picking players, I feel like is very similar to what people look for, when they're hiring other people, and him talking about what kind of went into making such a life altering decision to move completely across the country, which I think is really applicable obviously to high school students who are thinking about going to
Graduating.
college.
Yeah.
Like Avery, obviously, I mean, you're going from Baltimore to California, so you're kind of in the same
Me
exact
and Joe are twin. Yeah.
Mhm.
We're twins. Are twin.
So I think it's really something to think
Yeah.
about.
Even I would argue more importantly, like college to like real job or
Mhm,
grad school, it's more like real and more scary because it's not like school, people are still there taking care of you, I guess, to a certain
mhm.
extent. But yeah, so high school bridge or college bridge, yeah, we're very, very excited. It was very fun. I'm wearing blue today because we pulled a little bit on him in the call, but
And we did. You'll see it.
representing blue today for him. Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. I think we should just get to it. Okay, here we go. This is Mr. Hortiz. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Diploma. My name is Emerson Sprinkle, and I'm here with my co host, Avery Park. And today we are here with our very special guest, Mr. Hortiz. Could you please introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, sure. Joe Hortiz, and I'm the general manager of the Los Angeles Chargers, and excited to be here with both of you.
Oh wait, sorry. Wait, Emerson, can you hold on for a second?
Oh, yeah, that reminds me.
Um,
Let's fix yours. Let's
Oh,
just,
look at
yeah.
this!
Okay.
Look
All
at
right.
this! Yeah.
We're good. Let's go there.
all right. So to start off, I just have to say, when I told my dad about this interview, he was very excited because he told me that his dream job when he was a kid was to be the general manager of the New York Yankees. So
Okay.
not the right team, not the right sport, but I'm sure that there are millions of other kids who dream about having your job. So I just have to ask, was this your dream as well? Like, did you always know that this is what you wanted to do?
Actually, no. My dream as a boy growing up was to play for the Philadelphia Phillies or the Philadelphia Eagles, and I was a huge baseball and football fan. And I thought, honestly, I felt like I always wanted to do that. And as I got older and older and reality struck me in the face, I realized I wasn't going to be a pro football player, pro baseball player, but I did try to walk on. I went to Auburn University down in Alabama, and where Joey, my son's going to school, and this year or next year. But um, I wanted to try to walk on to a baseball team when I went to college and didn't make it. And what I was doing in the falls leading up to school, and even when I was in high school, I was coaching youth football and really enjoyed coaching. And so when I didn't make the football team, I got an opportunity, created an opportunity for myself by calling the head coach at Auburn and asked him if I could volunteer as a coach and learn X's and O's, and I did that. And I actually wanted to coach, and along the way in college, I got to know some scouts, and in particular Phil Savage, who was the director of college scouting for the Ravens, and they offered me a position in personnel when I was fresh out of college, and I jumped at the opportunity, and just and once I got in it, then I was like, you know what, this is player personnel is great, it's awesome, and kind of learn more about it. And that's kind of when the wheels set in motion that it'd be neat to be a GM someday. And but my dream was to be one of the guys out on the field, not one of the guys upstairs. But the reality, like I said, I had a reality check and had to pivot, and so worked my way to this position.
That's so great. Could you kind of tell us like more in detail about how you got specifically to this position?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, so I called, it's funny, Terry Bowden, it's a little bit of a long story, but we got a little time, but Terry Bowden was, the head coach at Auburn when I was there. And, he had tremendous success right away his first 2 years at Auburn. And he was actually a candidate for the Eagles job and, Philadelphia Eagles. They were replacing their head coach. And one of my friends called me up and told me that his name's hitting and on the Eagles list. And, he was listed in the phone book. So I called him up and asked him if he was going to be the Eagles' next head coach. And we got talking, and I asked him about, hey, I'd love to volunteer for you. And so started there, spent 3 years there, was picking up lunches and making coffee when I first started. And I must have made good coffee and did a good job with the lunches because they kept giving me more and more responsibilities. And I worked my way up, was working with the offense. And last year I was in the box helping our Jimbo Fisher, who was our play caller, and and then got the opportunity in Baltimore. And the same thing, kind of started at ground zero, personnel assistant, driving guys to the airport, picking them up, taking them to hospitals for their physicals, and learned about scouting. And from there, after 2 years in house, I did the Northeast for a couple of years, and then they moved me to the Southeast, which is the best territory. You're going to see the best players, and spent 3 years as a Southeast scout in Baltimore, and then I was a national scout for 3 years. Got the opportunity to be director of college scouting in 2009, and was there for I think till 2018 when Eric DeCosta took over as general manager of the Ravens, and he promoted me to director of player personnel, and spent my time from that time until I got this job here as a general manager in 2024. That's what I did in Baltimore. So 26 years in Baltimore, bunch of different roles, all within personnel. And as you get older, as you grow in your roles, your responsibilities change. You get more involved with different aspects of the organization. And now as a general manager, I'm kind of involved in all aspects of the organization.
Yes, that's perfect. Transition to my next question. You're talking about how you have a lot of different responsibilities, and I know with a lot of jobs, most jobs, you have a lot of people counting on you, but especially this job, it's so public. You don't just have the people directly involved, but you have millions of fans out there counting on you. So, how do you deal with that type of pressure?
You know, in the end, my responsibility is to the team and to the Spanos family, the owners of our organization, and so what I try to do is just I keep the same attitude I did when I was a personnel assistant. I want to do the best job I can in my role. And so, as a personnel assistant, I wasn't thinking about being an area scout. I wanted to make sure I got my job accomplished and did it well and did it for the people that were relying on me. And so I take that same approach here. I want to be the best general manager for the organization and obviously for the fans. The fans are what really, we're an entertainment business, really, and we want the fans to be happy, and that, if they're happy, that means we're winning. And but ultimately, that's what drives you. The winning. You want to be successful, the competitiveness. Again, we're not out on the field, but we're we're putting the players that are out there on the field, and we're the ones selecting them. And so you really want to, that's what you do it for. You do it for the fans, but you do it for the organization, and that's the thing that motivates you. And now there's going to be times where they're not happy with you, and I'd learned that early on when I had to make some tough decisions and trade some players and cut some players. But as long as you win, they come back around.
So kind of on that same topic of kind of working with individual players and things like that, obviously we seen behind you that you were involved in the draft this year. We saw you on TV. So obviously like that's one of your largest responsibilities. So how would you say that you kind of like define like a Chargers type player, and like beside just like athletic skill, like what kind of like values and traits do you look for in like building a roster?
Yeah, that's a great question. So much of over the years you learned in Baltimore and carried it here. You're obviously looking for talented players, talented athletes, but you really, and we talked about it a lot in Baltimore. It is part the player, and then the other 50% is the person, and and really the way a player achieves his highest level and really hits his ceiling and breaks through his ceiling is to be made up of the right stuff. And we want competitive players, and this was kind of defined in Baltimore over the years, and spent a lot of time talking about it, and I carried it here. But we want competitive players who are competitive, winning, losing, blowouts, getting blown out on the practice field. We want players that are great teammates, team first attitude, help their teammates out when they're down, support them when they're up, and keep encouraging them. Guys that feed off of players that are maybe more successful than them. They learn from them. We want players that are, we call it prideful. And it's really just they put in the work, they put in the time, they put in the effort, the energy. They're focused, they're detailed in their preparation, they're eating right, sleeping right, and then and really ultimately, guys that are resilient, have the mental toughness, can overcome adversity. You kind of grade them on all those things. And if you got a guy that's a great player and then checks all those boxes, you're probably going to get a really good player that can help you.
Yes. So, you mentioned how you spent a lot of time in Baltimore. You spent over 2 decades with the Ravens. And before you were offered the GM position in LA. But to some people, it might seem like a simple decision to move and take that job opportunity. But I'm sure there's much more behind it, especially with the time that you spent here in Baltimore. And our podcast is targeted towards the college, high school age people who I'm sure go through similar things, to find better opportunity with education, pursuing college. So moving from high school to college. And I know personally, I'm moving from Baltimore to California as well.
Yeah.
So I just want to know, what was the most like compelling factors that led you to accept this position across the country? And also, was there things that are scary about it? Kind of both sides of that, the positive and the negative.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another great question. And I can tell stories about decisions, that I've made along the over my career. I've had opportunities to leave in the past. I actually had an opportunity to come to LA in 2018, I believe it was, maybe 2017, but it was with the Rams, not the Chargers. And it would have been for a title, an increased role, vice president of player personnel. I actually considered doing it. I got on the plane. I actually came out here to take the job. And one of the things that I was weighing was I'm moving 4 young boys across the country. And I'm going to be taking four young, and a young family across the country. all, away from family, away from friends, and is it worth it? And because the Ravens were such a great organization internally and externally, and just made up of the right people, and it was family and friends there. So you make those decisions. When I got this opportunity, there were other GM opportunities I interviewed for. I wasn't offered them, but there were some that were more attractive than others. And some I went into was like, boy, I'd love to have this GM job. And then others, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is the right job, but it might be a great opportunity. So you definitely weigh those things. When I got here, when I interviewed here, it was you felt the family feel. It felt very similar to Baltimore. And the hardest part was picking up three of my four boys and my wife and moving them 2,500 miles across country. And it was good. It was good to have Joey there at McDonough and have the opportunity to leave him there. But it was hard. It's been, it was tough. I knew it was going to be challenging for my younger son Jack, who's 16, and that was there at McDonough as a freshman. And then the younger boys, I felt like would acclimate pretty well because they're younger, and but it's a life change and the culture change, and But I think the opportunity, you find a place that I really felt strongly about what the ownership here wanted to do. Certainly, I was familiar with Jim Harbaugh, one because he was our quarterback when I first started in Baltimore, but two because I've gotten to know him well over the years with John Harbaugh as our head coach in Baltimore. So the connection was there, and I felt like there was going to be a lot of familiarity there, and certainly he was going to hire some people I was familiar with on his staff, and but it just felt like the right fit. And felt it really did. When I did the Zoom interview, my first interview, I hung up on it with them and called my wife Jennifer, and I was like, "Hey, this is it. This feels just like Baltimore. The people there feel just like the people here." So that made it a really easy decision when they offered me.
Yeah,
Well,
that's nice to hear that you're also like it's like a feeling. Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
it was like that, I'm sure, for a lot of people considering colleges, and we were very
Yeah.
happy you did not leave us sooner.
Nah, well, it's like when you're making the decision, because if I'm not mistaken, you were debating, but you're going to Stanford, right?
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah. And were you considering Yale too? Yeah.
Yes.
So you go both places and you feel them out,
Right.
and it's what feels better. And I've been to both those schools, and personally, I know during being outside on campus, you pick the right one. Like Stanford's a beautiful place. I think you'll love it there, and it's great. So it's one of those things where you try to find the right fit, and it's hard. I think it's hard for college students because especially college athletes, and just any student, like you got to spend time on campus, but you just don't know. Um, and it's just a little bit of a leap of faith, but there's things that attract you to places, and you put your faith in your decision making. And I think once you make the decision, you go all in. And then the neat thing about being a GM is, I'm coming to the organization. I love the vision they have. I love the people I've met, and then you get a chance to impart your philosophy and your culture into the organization, and you work together, and you just keep doing it. And so, same thing when you pick a college, like you're going to go to a school and you make a decision, and then you get there and you make it work, and you find people. Great thing about college is you can find somebody who's like you. There's so many at most schools. So, just be outgoing and get to know people. And, but it's a great experience, and college is awesome because you learn. I remember when I first went to school, I didn't know anyone at Auburn University, and you just run into some people you like, and you build friendships, and you find things you like.
no, yeah, that's so great. I feel like that's really like comforting to hear, like as like incoming college students, that it kind of like all worked out for you. So kind of switching gears a little bit, obviously, that you have like an upcoming season. And while you don't know obviously like what the future holds and like what's going to happen, how do you kind of like plan and I guess like strategize for like the upcoming season?
Yeah, so it starts early on, right after the season. What I do is I take our team. I got our board. I have a board in my office, a magnetic board. I got all these magnets on the board with our roster, and it's set up like a offense first defense. And I take all at the end of the season. I take all the players off that are not under contract with us, and you look at it, it's like, oh my God, we got a lot of work to do. And so you just start through free agent. You sign some guys back before free agency begins, and then you just start filling it in and know you have the draft ahead of you to really supplement the roster and really reinforce it and get better. And so you build it through the draft, and the goal is to be able to play a football game before the draft even happens. What my approach I take, and then you use the draft to just make the team better, and you're not stuck having to pick any particular position. So that's the approach we take. And now the draft's over, we're out here in OTAs. The guys are out in the field, out the window behind my screen. They're out practicing right now, getting ready, and we take advantage of this off season to get better from now till June 18th. Take about a 3-week break, and then we're back at camp. And the whole time the guys are getting ready, me and our personnel staff, we're looking to see if anyone's out there who can help the team, and we're always looking to add players.
Nice. And kind of on the same lines, are there any innovations or trends in scouting or building or roster building that you think are underutilized in the NFL? I know you talked about just using like magnets,
Yeah,
which could be underutilized, but also, with our evolving world, like technology wise, is there room for AI here? How do you feel about
absolutely.
that?
Yeah. And some of the AI that we use, we don't use a lot of AI, but we use a lot of modeling and analytics. So analytics is growing. It's huge in baseball, right? And I think it's pretty big in basketball as well. But it's growing in football. And it's used on the field and off the field in terms of player evaluations and also in coaching decisions. Um, but I do think there AI will grow in this sport. And AI, a lot of it is it's going to be in projections and suggestions, and and what we do is we use the analytics. We use based off of history, the best decisions. We try to use it to help us make the best decisions we can, and we do a lot of modeling on pro players, for valuations, and then in college we basically suggest what we think they are based on what we grade the players on: their size, their speed, their measurables, their production, who they've produced against, and then we grade them each player individually as a position player. We grade their position specifics and what we call their critical factors, which are athleticism, speed, strength, explosiveness, competitiveness. We grade all those factors, and through the modeling, we're able to say, hey, this player grades out similar to players of the past, and therefore we think he's going to be offer this level of production. So it helps us reinforce where we put players on the board and our decision making when we rank them.
I just have to ask, selfishly, can you tell us what your favorite part of the job is? I know we make jokes all the time, with Joey about the Chargers jet, but do you have a favorite part of the job? I'm sure it's not the like benefits, but do you have a favorite part?
Um, Geez, favorite part. One of my favorite things to do every day is walk in here. Um, because one, it's like I said, it's a great organization. Two, it's a beautiful new facility, and I wish I could show it to you. Turn the camera around, but you see the draft room, and it's funny you talk about magnets. Well, we built this year. We used a magnetic board for draft in the past, but when we moved into this new facility, we uh, we put in these digital boards, and it's great. But the whole facility is beautiful, and when I walk in, the sun is rising right on the horizon. And we have 3 fields behind this screen that I'm looking at right now. And the fields butt up against the building, and the weight room is on the back of the building with, the garage doors that open, and it's all glass. And we had the weight room's half in, half outside because it's always 70 degrees here and always blue skies and beautiful, never rains. So I walk in, the sun's rising, and the players are in there getting their morning lift in during the season, and sometimes there's dew on the grass, and that's probably my favorite moment of the day every day, because I know I'm coming into work at a great place, and getting a chance to be part of a great organization. So that's my favorite thing every day. My favorite thing to do as a general manager, I love evaluating, love the draft. I grew up with the draft as a college scout, as a college director in Baltimore. The draft's the lifeblood of the organization, and I feel the same thing here. And so that's my favorite part of the job and what I do, is just being able to put together the draft board and then making the selections on the weekend.
So kind of in the now like in the broader theme of our podcast, like obviously what you do currently like sounds so great, and like what you just said, like that sounds really interesting, obviously. But if you had to now like go back in time to your high school senior self, is there something that you would tell yourself, or is there anything that you would do differently or things like that?
Um, what I would tell myself, all right, so I wanted to be a good athlete, right? I would tell myself, I would like to tell my high school freshman self, like, dude, do better than you're going to do in school, because I didn't do good in school. I didn't do well enough, I should say. I got lucky because I don't think it was too competitive for. There wasn't a lot of North people in the Northeast that wanted to go down to the Southeastern schools then, so I was fortunate to get into Auburn. But I could have been a better high school student. But I would tell my high school self, like, hey, the adversity you're facing now in life as an athlete and in school is going to help shape you to be better in the future. And I think that's the hardest thing for all high school kids, like all kids in general. Like life gets hard sometimes, and you're going to deal with adversity, whether it's exam week, whether it's injury, whether it's, you know, a lack of success in the classroom, a lack of understanding in the classroom, a lack of success on the field. It's gonna hit you, and it's gonna happen, and it's how you deal with that adversity and how you come out the other end of it that really helps shape you. And I wasn't a good high school football player. I was too small. I was tiny actually, and so I focused on baseball, and baseball didn't go the way I wanted it to go individually. The team, we had success and it was fun, but I was not happy with the way my high school baseball career went. And that's okay. I came out of it all right. It really did help shape me, because then the good thing I did, I kept working hard and tried for opportunity. And I just carried that forward. Did I get success? No, but it didn't, it helped instill a work ethic in me. So I would just tell all high school kids that, just keep working, keep getting better every day, and it will end up giving you positive results.
So yeah, and now I guess for our final question, Chargers week 1 play the Chiefs in Brazil, which is really
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
So I guess two questions there. One, how do you feel about kind of the NFL like going internationally? Because that's obviously really exciting. And two, are you hoping to meet Taylor Swift at some point?
Yeah, before she became a Chiefs fan, I was hoping to meet Taylor Swift all the time. Like it'd be, I mean, she's an iconic celebrity, and like an incredible entertainer, right? But now she's a Chiefs fan, so now I could care less about meeting Taylor Swift. She picked the wrong team, but I get it. She's, dating Travis Kelce, so she's supporting her boyfriend. So I'll give her a pass on that. But it'd be cool. It'd be cool to meet her. We played them twice last year, and I don't believe she was at either game because she was on tour. But I don't think I'll get a chance to meet Taylor Swift because she's on the other sideline. But talking about the international games, it's really to see how much it's grown. It's been awesome. I remember the first year they did a game in London, and then okay, we want to do two, and we want to bring a team out there to play back-to-back weeks, and now we had I don't know, 3 games in London or 2 games in London and Germany and Spain and Brazil, and it's just growing. We're going to be in Australia next year, and it's really cool. It really is a cool thing, and the league's gotten so great at managing it and the processes of it. So it's very, we in Baltimore we went there twice, and now here in LA I'm going again to Brazil, which will be unique. A place I've never been. So it'll be a place I get to visit. It creates an opportunity for a lot of players and coaches and families and fans to go places if they want that they've never been. So, but it's great. It's great to spread the game and really build new fan bases outside of this country. And the game of football and certainly the NFL is becoming, it's certainly globally recognized, and we're trying to get it to become a global game. And I think that it's such an exciting sport to watch, and it's great to get out there and let people enjoy it.
Yeah, so I think, Avery, unless you have another question, I think that's all the
I think
questions we
that's
had for today.
yes.
Yeah, so just thank you so much for coming on. It's really nice to meet you.
Great.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
really appreciate it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you so much. This was so
Uh,
cool.
I
Yeah.
Love
appreciate
your
you guys.
background too.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys offering me and the opportunity, and it's great to see you both. And wish you both of you the best of luck as you go to school. And Emerson, are you going to Pitt? I'm assuming you're
Yeah,
going to Pitt.
I
Yeah,
am. Yeah.
that's a great place too. And it's the weather's not as good up there, but it's a great town. It's a great
Yeah.
town and fun school. And but Avery's got you beat on the weather aspect.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, enjoy it and just remember, like you're gonna. You may not know a single person there, but you'll get to know everybody and have fun doing it. It's such a great experience, great time in your life that you'll once you get done that, then you got to go to work, so enjoy it.
Yeah. Thank you so much
so
again.
much.
Absolutely.
So great.
I'll see you both at graduation.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right.
See ya.
Thanks.